I got to step into my power so that I can empower more women who were struggling just like I was.
So earlier in my career, I wish somebody would have told me that not everybody wants to see me win. Not everybody was going to be by my side. I had to learn to be my biggest cheerleader, to be the person to go out there and step out of my comfort zone and do new things, try new things, because not everybody is going to be supportive.
Guess what? You're not in it alone, because there's tons of women out there that are struggling just like you who want to be there to support you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of You Are Meant for More. My name is Francine Ayala and I am your host, and I have another phenomenal guest that I cannot wait for you to meet. She is a keynote speaker for some very top Fortune 100 companies, and I can't wait to share her all with you. So let me go ahead and introduce you to her first, and then I will bring her on. Sound good? All right, so let me go ahead and introduce her. Deborah Deras is a sought-after international speaker, author, professor, and corporate trainer. Her clients include Google, Netflix, Verizon, General Electric, Procter & Gamble, and keynote speaker at hundreds of colleges and universities. She is also a professor at Santa Barbara City College and teaches organizational leadership classes at UCSB. She has a monetize your monetize your magnificence. I feel like I'm saying that word wrong. I don't know why, but it's okay. Academy, teaching classes in public speaking, AI, and mindset for success. Her primary purpose is to help busy professionals to achieve success with ease and grace. Please help me welcome Miss Deborah Deras. So let's go ahead and get her on the screen. Yay!
Hello there.
Why was I struggling with that word?
I don't know.
Please tell me the word again. Magnificence.
Magnificence.
There it was. You know what it was? I'm laughing about this. I'm so sorry. I'm going with magnificent, and I keep hearing maleficent in the background.
Oh yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Disney in you. It's the Disney in you.
It is a Disney in me. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh my, why am I having such a hard time there? I was like, wow, magnificence.
Yeah, and people have a hard time with monetizing their magnificence because they don't believe that they should get paid for what they do. So it's right on point.
Isn't that crazy? You're like, wait, hold on. I need to say this word right. Magnificence. Okay. Yes. So many people are struggling with that, especially women. And so, yeah. But anyways, I'm so sorry. I struggled with that in the beginning. But it's always fun because we're live and fun things get to happen. And that's what this show is all about, because, you know, you have to just be your true authentic self no matter what. Exactly. And the show must go on, right? So thank you, Deborah, so much for joining the show. I truly appreciate you. We actually met via Facebook recently. Yeah. So I was just like, oh, we hopped on a call and I loved your energy. And then when I finally got to dive into everything that you're doing, I was like, oh my goodness, she's magnificent. I absolutely adore everything that you're doing, because that's the direction we're headed with the keynotes and really impacting women on such a larger level, you know, because we know that they're meant for more. We know that they're meant to go out there and speak life, you know, into others and get paid to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into a little bit about you. Tell us who you are. Like, what's your background? What do you like to do for fun? Because I know I haven't had a chance to really dive into, you know, getting to know you more. Usually a lot of the people I have on, it's because we've had a relationship, but I want to get to know you, and I would love our audience to get to know you as well. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about who you are and what you like to do for fun. Please.
Well, I'll start with the fun, because I
yes.
you want to have funds, that you need to have fun, right? First three letters in funds is fun. And I've always believed in that. For fun, I do samba dancing. I do paddleboard yoga. If you Google Marina Del Rey paddleboarding, you'll see me and my dog and his 15 minutes of fame. We got interviewed on Channel 2 about our paddleboarding lifestyle. And I literally started paddleboarding because during the pandemic, all the gyms were closed, and I'm an athletic, sporty girl. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I kept spraining my ankles, so it wasn't really good with walking. So I discovered paddleboarding, and it was like the perfect thing for the pandemic because I was living my Moana life and just like going out to see where everything was peaceful. So that's what I do for fun: samba dancing, paddleboarding, that kind of thing. And my background, I started out actually getting my degree in marketing. And then I had a life changing situation that had me realign. I always talk about realigning for success. And it was when I was 19 and my brother passed away of an epileptic seizure at the age of 16. And it, like Valentine's Day weekend, and I was supposed to spend the weekend with my boyfriend. And he ended up delaying because had something to, he had work or something. And so I went within, which was contrary action, because normally I would be mad and I would be angry and I would complain to my friends, but I'm like, let me just go within because I believe, in tuning in, seeing what my intuition is telling me. My intuition told me to spend the week with my brother. I'm like, that makes no sense. But your intuition often doesn't make sense when it says quit your job or break up with this relationship or go right when you normally go left. But it's your gut that's always guiding you to the right place at the right time with the right people. And so it guided me to spend the last 3 days of my brother's life with him because our parents were divorced. I lived with my dad. He lived with his mom. We got to be together for the last weekend. And he went back home, and I got a call from my mom thinking she was thanking me because she got to spend the Valentine's Day weekend with her new husband. But she actually told me that he had passed away in the helicopter ride on the way to the hospital. And he literally had a neurology appointment on the Monday because his medication needed to be changed because he was a teenager and the hormones were affecting the efficacy of his medication. And so many people were like, oh, what a tragedy, what a tragedy. And they were making me feel worse. If anybody ever passes, never say to them it's tragedy. And I remember my brother came to me in a dream, and because I was so not wanting to even live, I was like, if this is the life that there is, I don't want to live anymore. I'm done. I want to check out. I was 19. And he came in a dream, and he was saying in the dream, which he never would in real life, he's like, it wasn't a tragedy. It was a destiny. And we all have a destiny, a soul's contract. He didn't say in those words, this is my translation of what he said, but we all have a destiny and a soul's contract. And yours is to be here, and you're going to teach. And I was like, teach what? I was 19. I'm like, what am I going to teach? I have nothing to teach. But like his words that I had a soul's contract and that I was here to teach just completely has inspired me from that very day in 1992. And I've been on fire ever since, not just to live passionately for myself, but to live passionately for my brother's legacy. So.
Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's like, wow. I know a lot of people use the different terminology. And so like, I use spirit, like our spirit tells us, like you intuition or, just that gut feeling. And I'm like, man, our spirit is so strong within us that it tells us what we need to do. And so, yeah, I'm so happy to hear that you had that opportunity to spend it with him, because we just don't even realize certain things. And yeah. And it's so true that we turn away from that intuition of like, I probably shouldn't go that way, but let me go anyways. You know what I mean? And so I when I share my story, should we answer it and bring them on and be like, hello?
I know, right? I don't even know how it got through because I have do not disturb until this evening. So that's kind of crazy. Okay.
You know what I've noticed on phones, and just to let everybody know, it's like I've noticed that like if somebody calls you on do not disturb and it goes straight to voicemail, if they call right away, it'll go through. It's happened to me several times, and I'm like, how did you get through? They just called again. Yeah, they called again right away.
David. David saying,
there you go. Yeah. Hey, you know what?
And you know what David is calling all of you listening forth to listen to your intuition, to listen to your vision, to listen to your guidance. Because like you said, Francine, we can second guess it and think, oh, that's not the right path. But you have to trust it. And
Absolutely.
that's what my next book is about. It's called Your Ego Is Not Your Amigo: How to Tune Into Your Intuitive Guidance System to Create a Life You Love.
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. Say the first phrase, your
Ego is
ego. There we
not
go.
your amigo, because your ego is going to say, who are you to do this? And that doesn't make sense. And other people are already doing it, or they have more education, or they have more experience, because ego's full-time job. Wayne Dyer used to talk about it all the time in his PBS specials. I'm aging myself, but edging good out. Because the ego's full-time job is to keep you stagnant and in your comfort zone. And the only way you're going to transform, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, is out of your comfort zone. So you have to get uncomfortable when you're going for your vision, when you're going for your passion, because there's so much unknown. But if you have the gut, you got to go for it.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like anytime you feel like, oh, I shouldn't, like maybe I shouldn't do that. And you know what I mean? It's just like, but if it's going to break you out into your next big step, or, step into your power, then yes, like get out there. And I know a lot of people who like, oh, I'm not good at socializing. I'm not good at networking, or, and I'm like, networking is, it's all about sharing. The thing is, so many people get stuck with the whole like selling, right? But it's all about sharing, right? It's just sharing. It's everyone's on stage, I should say, every single day.
Yeah.
Or
I used to have a networking group years
Mhm.
ago, and I used to share with people that it's really not selling, but you're solving a pain or problem that
Mhm.
people have. So you're helping them. I'm like,
You're helping.
do you like helping people? I love helping people.
Yeah.
Well, if someone has a toothache and you're a
Mhm.
dentist, I met my dentist at a networking meeting.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and I was having gum problems, and I met her at a networking. Is she selling to me by saying I offer dental care in Brentwood? No, she's helping me. So
Yeah, that's so great. And it is. I've met a couple people that I've needed services from, and I still keep in touch with. So you just never know. Get yourself out there.
Mhm.
Okay, so our subject for this show is basically mindset for success. And so, you are speaking on stages, you're out there, empowering corporate leaders and so forth. And so I want you to be able to share what it is, how you're helping them basically step into their own power. The show's all about leading very spiritually, through the mindset and the body. So what is it that you share with them? What type of value can you offer and share with our audience, so that they know that they get to step into their power and purpose every single day?
Yeah. So when I talk about mindset, we have about 85,000 thoughts that are going through our mind each and every day, basically every second. And if we're not awake and aware of these thoughts, we could have negative programs that are not even our own programs, that we've picked up from our parents, from our grandparents, from our great grandparents, or even from the collective. Right now, we're in an election season, and there's a lot of fear being put into the world, and it affects our mind. We don't know how it affects our mind, but all of a sudden we may feel a little bit more anxious. And one of the things we need to realize when it comes to mindset is that we are in control of what we allow into our mind. I literally do not consume any television. I television of my own life. It's not that I don't watch my television. Me and my dog, we're watching some sound bath right now. We may watch some, inspirational things on YouTube, but what you let into your mind, the TV you consume, the music you consume, the people that you allow in your inner circle, the conversations you have, the quality, you have control of that. And when you think of your mind, it's literally like a search engine. So whatever you type in is what you're going to see. So like I went on a bike ride with my neighbor yesterday, and we, typed in gratitude. We met in Greece actually, and discovered that we were next door neighbors, and she's so awesome. She's an attorney from Brazil, and I just love her energy. And so when we're riding along, we're like, oh my goodness, we're in Santa Monica. We're like, people are tourists, coming here, and we live here. It's so beautiful. Like, and other people could be like, oh God, it's so cloudy. Where is the sun? We pay all this money to live here and it's been so you know what I mean? Whatever you type in is what you're going to see. But guess who is in control of that? Not the media, not the politicians, not the government. It's us. So we need to take accountability and really be mindful of where we focus our attention, because quantum physics teaches us whatever we focus on expands. So, and it's not to be Pollyanna and to say everything is great when it's not great, because I, like everyone, have gone through so many challenges, even, this week with my father being in the hospital. And, it's not that everything is always great. It's just that we have to look at the challenges in our life and not to be in victim consciousness and say, why me? But to ask ourselves, what is the lesson here? What did I learn? What is the insight? Like I was just sharing with you before the show started, when I was thinking about my dad's being in the hospital. Well, what have all the lessons that I've been learning from this very, very challenging, like growing me as a person, growing my whole consciousness to rise above. Not, it's not an easy thing to go through when a family member is sick, but how are you going to become stronger, more resilient, a better person, a better daughter, a better friend, so mindset is something that, like exercise, we can't just one time go to the gym and expect flat abs. We need, I said fat, flat abs.
You said fat, so I'm like, okay, is that what's happening?
I mean flat abs. So mindset is something that on a daily basis we need to take action steps to realign for success, and we can talk about the steps that I can give you. But to me, the mindset for success is being awake and aware and aligned so that your daily practices, your behaviors align with the goals and the visions you have, right? So if your mindset is, I remember when Oprah first did a marathon, because I always thought, oh, I could never run. I have to be really skinny and like an Olympic athlete to run, or like FloJo or something. And then I saw Oprah did it, and I reframed my mindset. And I said, oh, I could be an athlete. And I think I started running at age 35 or something like that. I can do it because I see my role model mentor do it, right? So it doesn't take 21 days to change your mindset. You can instantly reframe your mindset by having a new way of looking at yourself and looking at your life.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. You touched in on a lot of points that, one thing that I share when I have summits or conferences is no matter how many times you hear the same thing over and over again, it's going to be that one person, that one event, that one experience where it's going to finally click for you. So Deborah touched in on so many valid points of really getting you to switch that mindset. And the thing is, like, it's a constant, repetitive, daily action that we all get to take, not have to, get to take. And so I'm honestly grateful, Deborah. You're my new bestie. I don't know if you know that, but I'm letting you know. But I'm literally like in awe, because the thing is, I love being surrounded by women like you. I love that energy, that space, because it's needed all the time. Because guess what? There's life, like you said, life happens. Things happen, our emotions, somebody wheels us into their emotions, and it's like, yes, we can have empathy and so forth. And then to understand how to just reframe and restructure how we're going to move forward with whatever it is that our goals are aligning with, whatever it is that God is putting me towards. Somehow there's a distraction, and so somehow we're just like, oh, look at that over there, so again, just being able to realign and stay in that space of, with the constant things we allow. So like what we're watching, what we're listening to, who we're around, you know, that type of energy. It's really like, I mean, you know, people ask me, you know, when I drive Uber and Lyft, they're just like, you know, they're like, aren't you scared? Aren't you afraid? And I'm just like, no. I'm like, one, I network. Two, I don't allow energy in. So it's like, you know, every now and then I'll just drive because I love it. And I get to meet some phenomenal people. I love traveling. So I meet a lot of travelers. And they're just like, and I said, because I have an energy within me that is so just radiant, I should say, that it's like nobody messes with me. I honestly even say that like God is literally sitting right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like he's right here. I have the armor of God over me. And so it's really about how you set your mind up for success. And it's just so profound. And I mean, if you need to watch this over and over again, please do so, because that snippet that she just said was powerful. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I could say it, the person next door could say it, the other person could say it, but it's like, you really have to understand the process of it. I mean, look at where Deborah's what was and look at where she went. And thank you, David, for calling in and letting us know you were with us. And he's giving
Yes,
you good
exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, so thank you for that. Because like I said, you know, it's like when I mean, I know you don't know a lot about my story, but just, you know, with the background of building the businesses and things like that, you know, it's like, it can be very lonely at times.
Mm-hmm.
And so women will get stuck in this place of complacency because it can be overwhelming. And, you know, so I got to realize a lot of that and just know who I am, who God made me to be, and how to step into my power. So now this is why we launched the show. This is why, you know, I'm able to speak more and get out there more, because I knew that there was a purpose. We needed to get this information out to everybody and to the masses. And so yeah, so thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your heart, you know, with us. And so, yes. Okay. Sorry. That was just like powerful for me, because again, I know it, but it's like when you hear it from somebody else, it has that much more impact. And so I'm grateful that you shared that with everyone. So tell us a little bit about where you get a lot of your clients that are staying stuck. What is it that continuously shows up for them? Is it imposter syndrome? Is it self-sabotage? Because the thing is, like, you talked about the beliefs and how, you know, we're programmed, you know, with past situations and so forth. How is it that you're like going through that process in breaking through to letting them know how to get to their next level? Is there something that you do specifically?
Yes. And, you know, right now I'm not doing a lot of one-on-one coaching just because of the Monetize Your Magnificence Academy, but I am, like you, an NLP practitioner. And over the years, I've been in business 22 years. I don't think I ever finished telling the story of how I started. So when my brother, let me just rewind back a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Have context for the content. So when my brother had his epileptic seizure, I was getting my degree in marketing, but because I always was interested in business and marketing. And when he passed, I went back and I got my degree in rehabilitation counseling. I was like, oh, I better help people with disabilities because what happened to my brother, maybe that's what he meant when he said to teach. And I spent like 8 years getting this degree in rehabilitation counseling. I went to work for the state of California Department of Rehabilitation, and I was in shock to find out that when I said good morning to the guy, Walter, at the front desk, he looked at me like, he like grunted. I was like, what the heck? They have this guy at the front desk, he's grunting. And somebody said, oh, don't worry about Walter. Look at the clock on the wall. I'm like, what? They said, oh, he's going to retire. I'm like, oh, when? Like, let's do a party. Let's have a potluck. And they're like, no, 3 years, 3 months, and 44 seconds from now. I'm like, oh my God. So he's going to be like that for 3 years. 44. And then I started discovering as I was working there that there were people and they were stressed and they hated their job and they would get a disability and go on disability, or they would die, and people the next day would just clean out the desk and fill in for the new desk. And so it was like people were either completely checked out, go on disability, they would die, or work for 40 years at a job that they did not like because there was no opportunities for growth or advancement. It was a state job. So it was like you were set at $50,000 for 40 years. And think of inflation. So that was back like in the 90s, late 90s, when I was working there. And I was like, I was like in my 20s. I was like, I cannot do this. I can't imagine a life where I have no passion and I'm like looking at a clock for 40 years. I will not make it. I don't want passionate living when I retire. I want passionate living now, because my brother passed away at 16. I don't know how long my time is, my soul's contract. I need to live every night, every day, fully and completely. And I can't let fear stop me, because there's nothing to fear. What's the worst that can happen? I would die. Okay, that's it. So I need to live. And so I started this side hustle. And I didn't finish my degree in marketing, but I had a little bit of marketing in my soul. And so I just started marketing my coaching business. And I was coaching people that were like in their 60s and 50s, and I was in my late 20s. So I had a little bit of the imposter syndrome. Well, who am I to do this? I didn't even have an office. I was coaching people at the park, girl. How did I get my first clients? I made business cards and I put them at places where I went. The water store. I remember I got a client from the water store, different places that I would go to, and I would get clients. And then I started meetup groups, and I would speak and I would get clients. And it just was so organic. And then I went to Toastmasters to improve my public speaking. And at the Toastmasters, after going for, I think, twice a week for like 3 years, somebody said, well, how much do you charge to speak? I'm like, people get paid to speak? And then I got my first speaking gig. And just to backtrack on that, people are so funny. Like they'll see me speak or they'll see me dance and they're like, oh, you're such a natural. I'm like, oh yeah, I only took salsa dance classes for 3 times a week for 15 years. I only took speaking classes twice a week for 12 years and then practiced 4 times a week for 20 years. So when people say you're a natural, it's called practice.
Yes.
And I think the challenge when it comes to mindset is people are thinking they need to be perfectionists. And that's what I love about you, Francine, and your style, the authenticity and the vulnerability, because unless you're an AI robot, and even AI robots aren't perfect, right? They make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Not even a robot is perfect, right? So we all are going to make a mistake. Why? Because we're human. And that's why we're practitioners, not perfectionists. So if you go in with the mindset of, oh, I want to try, like I started doing samba at age 44 and performed in groups and at clubs and in carnivals and things like that. Like I think my first performance was when I was 47, right? I was like, well, why not, right? So when you have that attitude that you don't have to be perfect, you just have to go for your passion. You have to tune into your intuitive guidance system. Ask, listen, hear, and then take inspired action. Ask, listen, hear, and then take inspired action. And the only person that is going to judge you is you, right? Because if anybody else is judging you, it doesn't matter what they think, because they're just projecting their own insecurities that they wish they could be as bold and courageous as you to step on stage and speak or step on stage and dance or whatever it is that you're doing, right? So it's really taking back your power by knowing that your mindset is one of not letting what other people think stop. It does not matter what other people think, because a lot of people won't even start to pursue their passion because they don't, that, you know, what will my family say? What will my friends say? And usually, to be honest, and I'm sure, Francine, you know, your family and your friends most of the time are the least supportive, except my mom. My mom she came to my first workshop. She bought my first tape that I still have in my car. I got a car with a tape deck, so I have the tape that I used to have. But most of your friends and family will not be the supporters, and it's the strangers, the colleagues that you don't expect to be supportive that are, and that's okay, right? So that's my long answer.
No, you're fine. 100%. That's okay. Now, granted, it hurt. It hurt a lot. I was devastated because I was like, how are my friends and family not supportive? Like I I couldn't fathom that. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And you just have to give them grace. That's it. You give them grace, and guess what? You're going to have a whole tribe of women that want to support you, that love what you're doing, that cheer you on. Like, I am every woman's biggest cheerleader. Like, men too. Like, anytime I see any woman or man going out there and doing stuff like, for their business, they're showing up on video, they're doing stuff to impact others. I'm like, love, 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 heart, 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 heart. I am that person because I know what it's like to just do things by yourself and not have people clapping for you that are the closest to you. And so, yeah, you have to be okay. And I'm so glad you talked about, the whole, like, imposter syndrome. Like, no, I'm sorry. I know we talked about that earlier, but it was the
Perfectionism. Yeah.
perfectionism. It was a perfectionism of, everything needs to be perfect before I do X, Y, Z. And
Waiting for the ducks to be in the row. The ducks are never going to be in a row.
Right.
And even when you think they're in a row, then there's going to be some issue that happens in your life because life happens.
Yes. And it's like, the thing is, like, I knew I wanted to do this show. I knew I wanted to impact women all over the world 5 years ago. 5 years ago. And it's just barely starting. And it's just like, again, I still didn't have everything. I didn't even have all the equipment, because if you hear my first shows, there's no microphone, and it sounds a lot like very echoey. So it's like, again, like, just start. So many people out there will tell you to just start.
Exactly.
And it's like,
start imperfectly and improve.
Correct. And that's why, like, over the years, I've driven off and on as a rideshare driver because I never wanted to work for anybody else again. I told myself I would never work for anybody else again. And so I would turn around and I'd look at people and be like, oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this, and all this stuff. And guess what? They all had a job. And I was like, wow, Francine, here you are hustling your business, you're driving, and you're not working for anybody. Give yourself grace for how far you've come. Yeah. That was one of the hardest things I had to do, was because I wasn't ahead yet. I wasn't in that spot. I wasn't doing things other women were doing. And it wasn't that I was envious. I was really hard on myself. Why are you not there yet? Right. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we all have our timing. It's all in perfect timing because there's so many lessons we still need to learn.
Exactly. Divine order and divine
time. Yes, order. I love it.
My dog is named Divino to remind me, and Vino, to remind me of the divinity of life.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. Divino, divinity of life. What I also wanted to bring up is I was completely blown away when there was that whole caring what people thought. I remember, like, okay, so I know a lot of you can relate, and maybe you can too, Deborah, but like, I remember being like, I don't care what people think. I really don't. Like, I was confident, and I was like, I'm good, not cocky. I was just confident within myself, and I took this, it was probably about 3 years ago. And I took this quiz, by, oh geez, the gentleman's name. Oh God, it'll come to me. But, it was, he talked about, people pleasing, right? So he wanted everybody to take this quiz. Now, I didn't go to his training, and my son brought the quiz home, and he's like, you should take this. And I was like, people pleasing. I'm like, okay, fine. He goes, yeah, you'll be surprised. And I was like, okay. So I took the quiz and everything, and I was like, oh, I had 8 out of 10 that I was a people pleaser.
I was too.
I blown away. You don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like, what do you want to share on that? Like, why?
Right. Well, when I was doing a lot of keynote speaking in women's groups, right now I'm doing a lot with technology groups like Google, and Netflix, and those kind of things, Meta coming up soon. But when I was doing a lot of women's conferences, I would talk about the 4 characters that we have played. One is Mañana Wana, which is the procrastinator that will say, I'm going to start that podcast when I got the microphone, when I got the perfect lighting, when I'm at the perfect, I used to be like, oh, I just need to lose weight. I have a round, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. No. Okay. Mañana Wana. So that's the procrastinator.
I'm sorry, really quick. I forgot my lighting. I just looked, I go, oh, my lighting isn't on. Oh my God, I forgot. I always put my light right here and I completely forgot. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
And then there's, of course, Louisa, the people pleaser. And we don't know that we're people pleasing until we do know. And that's why I say when it comes to mindset, the most important thing is to be awake, aware, and aligned. So when we're awake and aware, we can identify because we're not looking at our life through our myopic lenses, but we're zooming out, looking at it from the mountaintop, and we're like, oh, I did that, and and that's why I'm sick right now, because I was trying to people please and show up when I really needed to rest, and I just said yes when I needed to say no. And as a recovering adrenaline addict, my book is called Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict. That's part of what I had to learn about saying no guilt-free. So Mañana Wana, the procrastinator, which I am not anymore at all. Louisa, the people pleaser, still comes in sometimes to time. And then Dizzy Lizzy, which was completely me. And I realized why I had 2 sprained ankles during the pandemic, because I was literally a Tasmanian devil. I even had, one time I was waiting in line at Starbucks, and this homeless man that came in to get some water said, "You're a Tasmanian devil." And I was like, he's kind of right. Because my energy, like the swirling kind of like, and I would like drop my phone in the toilet because I couldn't take a break from texting while going to the bathroom because I was nonstop adrenaline addict. I had to impress my dad. I had to overproduce and overdeliver and overachieve, because the only way I was going to get validation from my dad, who I was seeking it from, is if I was overachieving. Right. Yeah. And so it resulted, I talk about this in my book, in burnout, where I was hospitalized at age 28 from doing too much. And I was on track to have an autoimmune disorder like fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr, and my business partner who I wrote the book with was already down the line, developed lupus, and from lupus had all these other illnesses. She lived to be 61, and I'm 51 right now. So, it's a serious thing. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people the success with ease and grace mindset. So Mañana Wana, Louisa, the people pleaser, Dizzy Lizzy. Oh my God, who am I forgetting? There's another one, but they all have one thing in common, is that, they're acting from fear rather than acting from a place of love and self-love. And when we have self-love, we make decisions not to please others, not to do for others or try to look good for others. We really are connected with the truth of our own divinity, because I believe that we are divine, and that when we love ourselves, then we make choices that not are based on fear, but are based on purpose. And so that's what I support people with in everything that I do, to really align with that and to realign with that, because guess what? I fall off, you fall off, everybody falls off. So it's not just aligning, but realigning, like a pilot that's off track because there's turbulence, off track because there's weather, off track because maybe something happened in the air, and we just go back. There's no judgment.
Yeah.
And we as humans tend to be judgmental. Wayne Dyer, one of my master spiritual teachers, who very interestingly enough has been coming and sweetly whispering in my ear at night. I listen to YouTube like Om before I go to sleep, but every night I wake up in Wayne Dyer, who wrote all about the ego. I think that's because my new book is about the ego. I need to put some of his quotes in my new book, but he's always saying the key to be able to transcend your monkey mind that has you at Mañana Wana and Louisa the people pleaser is to be a compassionate witness, is to look at the challenges or the seeming mistakes. And no, that's not even a mistake. You just take one, take two, right? It's like, okay, that's all part of the process. But we need to be compassionate. We need to be loving with ourselves and say, you know what? next time I'm going to do better. Next time I'm going to improve, but not to stop when there's a mistake, or to stop ourselves when it's going back to that perfection. And so just identifying which one of these personalities are you. And I know, I forgot the fourth one. I forgot.
Yes, I knew it'd come.
It's drama queen Janine. And drama queen Janine is always, and you know these friends, I don't have them in my life anymore, but I did. They're always like in crisis, and they're always creating chaos. Oh, I have a problem with my roommate. Oh, I have a problem with my boss. Oh, I have a problem with my boyfriend. And the common denominator problem is you. You, my friend, drama queen Janine. It's because they were in victim consciousness, and everything was always other people's fault. And when you're not, so there's a difference between being a compassionate witness and being accountable, right? Yeah. So you can be compassionate with yourself, but you cannot remain in victim consciousness. You need to say, okay, what was my part here? Where do I need to forgive? What do I need to learn? How can I do things differently? Like, I had to stop overscheduling. I was dropping being dizzy Lizzie because I wasn't allowing, and I talk about this in my book, white space. I had to put white space in my calendar. I used to have an hour lunch. Now I have 2-hour lunch, so I can eat, work out, shower, pet my puppy, and then go back to work, right? So it's like creating the success with ease and grace means giving ourselves grace and allowing grace in our day. Right, babe?
Yes. That's so beautiful. I love it. There was one particular thing I wanted to hone in on, and of course it's going to come to me when we move on and so forth. But I know what I was going to say. So like everything that you talked about, the topics of each character, my coach actually would say in our class, the itty bitty shitty committee. And so
oh, that's good.
Yes. Excuse me. So like literally as you're naming these characters, I'm like, I see them sitting up there having tea, drinking I don't like tea, having coffee, having wine. And I'm like, excuse me, you need to get back to work. Like, stop it. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's like the movie Inside Out, where there's anxiety.
Yes.
And there's that is the best freaking movie. I love it. And when they added anxiety, I was really happy about it, because that's what my biggest struggle. I'm like, and anxiety was so funny in the movie, because it was like, I thought anxiety was to keep me safe, but no, anxiety was stopping you from your dreams and visions.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I've actually been able to pinpoint it. Like, as far as like when it does come up for me, I know it, meaning like I know what's happening. I realize it. I ground myself. I take those deep breaths, and then I'm like, and one of the things I always say is, you're fine. You're fine.
I love that. That's positive, soothing self-talk.
It is. Like, I just literally just like, it's like, and I think I say it I'm pretty sure I say it 3 times.
You are safe. You're safe.
Yeah, you're safe. You're fine. Yeah. And it's perfect. And then I stop, because it's like, as soon as it starts coming up, I go, and I blow out for a long time. And then I'm like, you're fine. And I take a deep breath, hold it, and I blow it out. And I'm like, you're fine. And if I'm not driving, I close my eyes. But sometimes I'll be driving. It's just,
I'm so proud of you for doing that. I honor you for that, because that is so important. You need to have palatable practices to anchor you back and to get you back realigned.
And I think that's what it is. Right. And it's because, like you said, it's really understanding you. It's knowing you. So when you talk about your characters, Lizzie Dizzy, I mean, I don't know how many times I'm like, it's
like falling. I was walking and texting, falling, twisting my ankle.
But you know, it's being present, and when I work out, I'm not on my phone. Because when I work out, I hear from, I think of Ed Milet, and he's like, that's your time to connect with God. That's your time to ground. That's your time to be with you. So my phone goes away, and I just, I stay in my space. And, I walk in the morning with my mom, so her and I are
Oh,
talking.
that's so nice.
It is. It's really nice. So I love that. That's like our space together. Or if
Oh,
I'm walking by myself, I'm in nature. And it's so funny because I'll pray and I'll be like, okay, God, tell me what it is you want me to hear. You got 5 seconds. Let's go. I'm just kidding. But it's like, I calm those nerves. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, me, I like wandering off. I'm like, just bring me back. You know what I mean? So, but I play my worship music and I just listen and I take in the space, the air, the surroundings, and it's always nature. So I'm always at a park or I'm at a hiking trail or something. So, but yeah, it's really bringing it back. And but yeah, I think there's a second In and Out with my nephew was telling me
Inside
about
Out
it
too.
when they
Yeah,
talked
that's
about embarrassment. There was embarrassment
yes.
in it. I haven't seen that one, so I'm like,
Vergüenza. My teenage friend was like, "Oh, it's so relatable," because like
oh
that's
yeah,
exactly what she experienced in high school, like the embarrassment and oh my
yeah.
God, right?
Oh,
It's so good for kids, for teenagers, and for
it is so
adults.
good.
I love that movie. It's so good.
I
It's
you
on
know
Disney right now. I think I bought it on YouTube. You can get it.
Oh, got it.
Because
Okay.
because like you said, we have to be awake and aware of our mind,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if we're not, then we're letting it run us. Those 86,000 thoughts that are going through our mind, if we are not taking control of it and in the driver's seat of our mind, we can let the collective consciousness, fear-based thinking take us. And then we wonder why we're feeling anxious.
And
But
that's where the anxiety is, right?
right. But when we ground, when we, shield ourselves, ground ourselves, and protect ourselves, then we can go out in the world feeling protected. But if we
Yeah.
don't, and we don't have daily practices to reinforce that, life will get us. It's like if you're swimming in the ocean and you're not a great swimmer, wear a life jacket, right? So
Mm,
you're doing your breathing exercises is giving you that life jacket so
right.
you can feel safe and move about the world because there's a lot going on. There's
Yes.
a lot in the consciousness and we need to protect ourselves. And if we are on a mission to really create like a movement like you are, you even need more because the more visible you are, the more haters you have, right? And it doesn't bother us per se if you make your haters your elevators, but you need to protect yourself
Hmm.
to have that protection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought up the whole, we're in a time where the media is attacking our emotions. And
Yes.
it's so true. And it's so funny because I have a friend who watches like all the things and he tells me, how come you don't? And I'm like, because I don't allow that type of
Right.
negative talk into my brain. I don't allow that negative way of being, and the thing is like, no matter what side you're on, no matter who it is you want to be part of this government or whatever that may be, it doesn't need to come from a place of hate.
Right.
And the thing is like, you and I know we didn't really touch on it, but we were talking about forgiveness prior to us hopping in.
Yes.
And it's like, when you really ground yourself and you know who you are and you are able to control those emotions, you get to have so much grace for other people. Oh, well, they don't know, blah, blah, blah. No, you just get to have grace for people
Exactly.
because not everybody grew up like you. Not everybody had the thoughts like you. Not everybody knows, how to be, what's right from wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's really sad because when I do watch the media, because sometimes, I'm checking in like how families doing, there's hurricanes going on, there's
Oh
things going,
yeah.
earthquakes, and it's like, I'm just kind of checking in to see my cousin is in Tampa. We were checking in with her to make sure she was okay, her whole family. And it's like, it all comes down to prayer. It all comes down to protecting your family, your loved ones, the people. I mean, I'm praying for people all the time. And it's just giving them so much grace because although Deborah and myself, have been through this whole mindset journey and really know how to ground ourselves, we have so much grace and empathy for those that don't know how to.
Exactly. They don't have the tools.
Yes.
And I always have to, and I know we don't like to, but we have to be the bigger people.
Right.
You know, we have to be even if that person did everything wrong. It's funny, you were talking about Uber driver. I adopted my Uber driver as my personal driver, and he's in recovery. And we were talking about like amends and forgiveness. I was like, and he was like listening to me talk to my dad. He's like, I wish I could talk to my dad like that. I was like, it's taken a long time of forgiveness and for us to do the inner work. And I said, we don't have the luxury of resenting other people because it doesn't affect them. It affects us. And so our forgiving others is actually giving ourselves the grace, because it literally creates a withdrawal. It withdraws our love energy. And when you withdraw your love energy, it's going to affect your career. It's going to affect your finances. Any spiritual book you read about abundance is going to talk about forgiveness. And one really amazing practice that I love, it was created by Dr. Lou in Hawaii. He is a psychiatrist that was working with mentally ill patients that they said could not be in society. They were long gone and they needed to be institutionalized for the rest of their life. And he's like, no, they just need healing. And he says, we're going to do Ho'oponopono, which means I'm sorry, thank you, please forgive me, I love you. I'm sorry, thank you, please forgive me, I love you. And you do it 108 times. And I do this on YouTube, and I can't tell you how much that practice has helped healed relationships that I have never thought could be healed, and even my own relationship with myself. Just, challenges that I've had in being able to love and forgive myself. I don't think you can love yourself until you forgive yourself. So if you're wanting to go to the next level in your career, if you're wanting to start a business, if you're wanting to be more abundant, start with loving yourself. And the prerequisite to loving yourself is forgiving yourself. There's nothing you ever did in life that cannot be forgiven.
That's so good. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like, so many people, like, it's really sad because there's so many people that are hurting and, mentally ill, institutionalized, people that are on drugs. And it all comes from the way they grew up.
Right.
From their background. And it's like, so that's why it's like, I have so much empathy for people, because it's like, I grew up in a loving household. I had a mother and father, but they separated when I was 7. But both my parents loved me, and they showed how much they love me. And so it's like, there's things that it's so funny because who knew I had daddy issues? But I had abandonment issues from my dad. Didn't realize it. It was like layers my coach had to peel back. And I'm like, why does this keep coming up? So when you step into, how to heal certain areas of your life, you get to really understand and forgive where you didn't even know there needed forgiveness.
Right.
And so, I mean, again, very transparent. I mean, I literally would like get so emotional every time I talked about my dad. And I was like, what is happening? Like, here I thought I like worked on that. And it's just like, my coach is like, there's something there. We got to dive further in. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? But I didn't realize that because, I had this whole thought process of my dad left. He went to the military. He didn't leave. Him and my mom separated, but he went to the military. He was stationed in Japan. And so like, but it was just kind of like an abandonment type thing.
Right. Because you're a little girl, you did not know that you were coming back. So it was for you.
And then he went to the war. So he was in the Gulf War. So he was gone again. So I always kept men at a distance because they were leaving. They were walking out. So it was really interesting to hear, you know what I mean? To really understand that process. But again, I got to love myself. I got to forgive myself. I got to understand who I was and where that was showing up in my career, in my finances, in my relationships. And it's like, what? So there was just a lot that, that was uncovered and unpackaged.
Well, good for you for doing the inner work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like we're always doing inner work, like
Not everyone. That's why I just want to encourage people that are listening.
yes.
Not everyone does the inner work. They just
No.
see the outer results and wondering why things aren't changing. It's the definition of insanity. If you're the same person, then you're going to get the same results. But when you do the inner work and you change, you'll see your circumstances and people around you change. But it starts
So
from
good.
within. Inner world creates outer world.
Yeah. And when I said we, I meant you and I, sorry.
Yes.
But you and I, we're always doing the inner work. But yes, this is why we're so passionate that you do the inner work if you haven't done it already, or that you're continuing to do it, and making sure that you show up for people. So we are closing out our show. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Deborah, for sharing your heart, for sharing so much value, and really diving into those core topics of mindset for success, because you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so if there's anything you want to leave with our audience, oh, I'm so sorry. We're going to tell you how to get a hold of Deborah. You have something coming up.
Yeah. Speaking of inner work. So one of the things that I wanted to do to support people right after the election, right before the holidays, is I have a overcoming burnout challenge, and it is just overcomingburnoutchallenge.com. So you just type in overcomingburnoutchallenge.com, and you can, when you go to deborahderas.com and you click on events, it'll be there. But I'm doing it 11/11, my favorite day, oneness. And every day that week, I'm going to be coaching, training, and leading you through your own inner work in the 5 pillars of your life: spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, financial. And at the end of that week, you're going to have so many tools to be able to feel much more aligned for success. So I'm really excited about that. So totally free, 5 days of coaching and training. And if you want to go further, you can. I'm just so grateful to be able to provide. This is my first time doing this, and I was just inspired. It was a divine download. It wasn't my idea. I can't take credit for it. I get these divine downloads, which is basically my intuition saying, do this. And I'm just obedient and I listen. Even if I don't know how to do it, I know what, and I know that the resources to allow the how will unfold. So yes, if you want to stay in touch with me, my major platform I'm on is Facebook. Just Deborah Deras, not the fan page. Go on the friend page. Be my friend.
Be my friend.
From me, and then we can connect. And just so excited to be here with you. Thank you so much, Francine.
Thank you.
Really enjoy this conversation. Get the Monday started.
Yeah, she doesn't know, but I'm gonna show up at her front door and be like, I'm here.
Come to Marina.
I'm going to. Yes, we're in California, so in Marina Del Rey, I'm headed. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here for another episode of You Are Meant for More. Know that we're passionate about getting this message out and really changing and impacting women all over the world. So thank you so much. Share with someone that can really use this information, because this was such a powerful show. And I'm so grateful, Deborah. Again, thank you for joining. So until next week, we'll see you then. Have a beautiful day. Take care.
Ciao.
I want to get to know what you do, what inspires you, what you enjoy.
My ability to lead really impacts women on a larger level, because not every woman has the same story or the same journey. So understanding where they've come from and where they want to go helps me be the leader that I can, so that I can show up in a space of authenticity for them.